Hello, everyone. Welcome to Teach Your Child to Read 102. We are happy to be here with you and help guide you through teaching your preschooler to read. My name is Nancy. I work for the Fort Worth Public Library under the Early Childhood Matters program. I have over 20 years of experience in the early childhood field. I've worked from Head Starts, I've worked with universities and childcare programs. So I've got some experience in this field. And we've got Maria. Maria, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Maria, and I also work for the Fort Worth Public Library. I used to work for Fort Worth ISD and Crowley ISD. As a teacher, I taught kindergarten, I taught fourth, and I taught fifth grade, and I loved every minute of it. I've been teaching for about 15 plus years. So if you put that together, how much does that make, Nancy?
Oh my gosh, it's like 35 years of experience, but that just kind of goes to show the passion and the love that we have for teaching not only children, but parents or caregivers, right?
Yeah, you're right, Nancy. Well, this is going to be the second part of our Teach Your Child to Read webinars to help you with the fundamental tools to teach your child to read. This webinar, Teach Your Child to Read 102, it will focus on preschoolers, but if you have a child younger than 4 years old, you're welcome to stay, but please be sure to check out our Teach Your Child to Read 101 webinar, where you can learn how to prepare your baby and your toddler to read. As always, we wanted to provide our viewers with a simple format that you can watch more than once, pause, rewind, and watch on your schedule. If you watched our previous webinar, you'll know that many people learn in different ways. Some learn by hearing, others by reading, and many learn by doing. So in this webinar, we want to incorporate different learning styles that you will remember so that you'll retain more of what you've learned with us. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm a visual learner, so I need to read or see what I'm learning about. I need to see plenty of examples, pictures, words, or it simply doesn't stick to my brain. And it doesn't mean that I'm not a good listener. It just means that I need to see it to remember it. Nancy, how about you?
Oh, Maria, I wish I was a little more like you because I am totally not a visual learner. I think I tapped into that, but I am very much an audio learner. I really need to hear it. I need to hear the information so that it sticks in my brain. Audiobooks, they are my best friend because I know that I learn best when I am listening to a story or even recipes. Anything that I can hear, I can retain it better. So I'm very much an audio learner. I wish I could say I'm all three, but my strongest is audio. I really need to hear it, and that's okay, right? That just makes us unique. So what we hope that you gain out of this is that by the end of this webinar, our goals and our objectives is that you as the viewer will know these things. So one, familiarize yourself with the 6 early literacy skills. So we want you to be very familiar with these. Number 2, we want our viewers to understand our simplified version of reading steps, and we'll incorporate some fun ideas for each step. We want you to leave with some ideas of reading activities that you can do at home with your child to just jumpstart the reading before starting kindergarten. Who's ready to jump right in? I know I am. I know Maria is because we are so excited. So let's get started. So teaching your child the necessary skills to read begins long before kindergarten. Lucky for us, a panel of reading experts got together and determined that there are 6 specific skills children need to become stronger readers when they enter school. Now, if you watched our first Teach Your Child Ready to Read 101 webinar, you learned that there are 5 practices or activities that will prepare your child to read. So the first one is writing. Number 2 is talking. Number 3 is singing. Number 4, when you combine them together, is reading. It looks like a book. And number 5 We drop our fingers and it's the sign for play. So if your child is already practicing these regularly, then he or she will develop the necessary foundation for reading. So today we're going to cover the 6 early literacy skills that will help your child become a successful reader. These don't need to go in any particular order. All that counts is that you're doing these things with your child.
All right, well, let's first start off with the why. Why do you want to make sure your child goes into school with early literacy skills? Don't kids learn to read in school? Well, kind of, but teachers need your help. Learning to read takes time, and children need individualized attention and support with reading from the person or from the people who know them best, and that's you. So when your child comes into kindergarten with a strong early literacy background, your child will learn to read much faster and have more success in reading than and other subjects. Unfortunately, those children without a strong foundation in early literacy tend to start school behind and are more likely to stay behind in kindergarten and future grades. So we can all agree that this is really important stuff, right, Nancy?
Yeah, it is.
One of the 6 early literacy skills is vocabulary. And what we mean by that is simply knowing the names of things. By the time your child enters school, he or she should know anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 words. Nope.
What?
Yep, that was not a mistake, but that is a huge number of words to know.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that you can do as a parent or caregiver? Well, first of all, you can read, always read. Make it a routine, make it a fun time. You'll hear fun all the time in this webinar. Make it a special time. Give names to different things around you and label anything and everything in your home. How many things are labeled here? Well, we have the door, we have the wall, the clock, the keyhole, the doorknob. You may be thinking, why is labeling so important? Because when we label our children, when they have seen a word already and they know what it means, they're more likely to recognize it and understand more concepts while they're reading. Let me give you a quick example. Your child has seen the word door at home and knows what it is and knows what a door is used for. But when he sees the word door in a book that he's reading, he's going to be able to visualize that, what a door is, and better comprehend what he's reading.
I love that. Maria, was that your classroom?
It was.
All those items that were labeled are amazing. I know I used that technique with my little one that had a hard time wanting to read. And so I labeled the entire house. Anyone that came to visit thought, oh my gosh, she must be crazy, but it really did help him. So that's a great activity to do. So next on our list is the early literacy skill is print motivation, which simply means finding books your child will like and will want to read. A child with print motivation loves to read and to be read to. They'll enjoy books, they'll pretend to write, and love trips to the library to check out more books. What can you do to encourage print motivation in your child? Have books available and accessible to them. Make it a routine to read and find a special place and time to read together. And make sure that your child sees you reading. Do you think the little girl on the top middle picture has any print motivation?
She looks like she does.
Right? What do you think, Maria?
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah. She's like really into the book. She looks like nobody can bother her.
I love it. It does. It looks like she is comfy. She is like on her belly. This is my spot. And if you notice, she's also not only has the one book she's reading, but she's like, hey, I'm going to get to these other ones that are right next to me. She's got a stack of them. I love it. And you know, pictures just say 1,000 words, right? So in this picture, she is so concentrated. She loves that book. I think she definitely had been encouraged with print motivation. She loves those books. So how about those little girls with their dad in the picture underneath? Those little girls definitely, in my book, have print motivation. You can see that they have taken over the role that the caregiver, or in this case, dad, who I think was supposed to be reading to them, and they've taken over like, step aside, we're gonna read to you, which is great because that just means that they have built a routine and a love of reading, and they're gonna help dad out read this book. I love it.
I love that picture too. I concur with you, Nancy. I mean, you can tell dad has been reading books to these little girls, and now they're wanting to read books to dad. So, and even the little one, you
Yeah.
can tell that her older sister has been a good example for her. And it's just, I mean, it's something that they're enjoying. So
Mm-hmm.
bravo.
Yeah.
All right, well, that takes us to our third early literacy skill, which is print awareness. This means that your child knows that words mean something. He or she knows how to hold a book, how to read it from left to right, and then top to bottom. Parents and caregivers, you can encourage print awareness by running your fingers under words as you're reading. You can teach your child that the different parts of the book are the front cover, the back cover, and the spine, and how to hold a book. If you want to see if your child understands how to hold a book correctly, you could accidentally drop it on the floor and pick it back up upside down, kind of like that picture. If your child corrects the way you're holding the book, voila, she understands. You can also point out and read words when you see them. This is called environmental print. And environmental print, they're words and letters that we see everywhere in the world around us. There are signs, we can see environmental print on labels, on logos. Some examples are stop signs, Starbucks, 7-Eleven, Amazon, Walmart. We can all recognize those when we see them. So let's say you see a stop sign. Point it out to your child and read it. If you're going to McDonald's, point to the sign and read it. Before you know, your child will recognize and point out words and read them to you. But keep in mind that your child isn't reading just yet. He or she is just understanding the concept that words have meaning. And we all know these words just by seeing them. And so will your child.
I think that my little one uh, learned those golden arches right away. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we would drive by and he's like, McDonald's, McDonald's. And I'm like, that's not McDonald's. Yes, McDonald's. It's McDonald's. So it was, me expressing to him when we would go when he was younger, this is McDonald's. And he just, that environmental print, you're right, it makes an imprint in them and they recognize it. I totally love that. The next and the fourth of our literacy skills is narrative skills. So can your child retell a story he or she just read, or retell what happened? So let's think about that. Let's say you're at a birthday party or you went on vacation. Narrative skills helps your children better understand what they have read or just done. So as parents and caregivers, you can help strengthen these skills by asking your child to retell what happened in a book. So maybe using a puppet or even describe what is happening in a drawing. You can ask your child to make predictions about a story or expand the description of something. So for example, you just read a story about the three little pigs with your little one. Ask your child to describe the wolf and to tell you why he was so scary to the three little pigs. Do you think the wolf could be scared of the little pigs? That's just another question you could ask. You're having them make predictions, you're having them retell a story. That's a great example, and it's so easy. Also, while you're in the car, make some conversations just about anything. Maybe about a movie you just watched or a book you just read together. Ask your child to give his opinion on certain characters and why they might be their favorite character, or maybe they were the villain, or maybe something happened, have them retell and explain why they think that happened. The Fort Worth Public Library has ebooks that you can check out on our Libby app. I love this app. I love it because it's got audiobooks. So for me, I can retain and read a whole bunch of books. But for your little one who's just learning how to read, it's great because if they're just in the beginning stage, they can have books read to them. And then you can ask them those questions. But if your kiddo is already reading, they can check out books that they can read to you or to the younger siblings. So all of these discussions happen and help your little one with narrative skills.
Wow. And you know what, Nancy, you're right. They really do. I mean, those books will read to a child and then you stop and then you ask them questions like, hey, what happened to this character? What, where was this taking place? And you'd be surprised how much they can elaborate when they're really understanding something.
Yes.
Well, this brings us to our fifth of our early literacy skills, which is letter knowledge. Simply means to understand that letters have names and sounds that they make. Can your child point and name a letter and the sound it makes? If your answer is yes, great job, bravo. But if your answer is no, there's no need to worry. That's why we're here. So let's think, what's the most important word for your child? Really think about it. Well, nothing else but their name, right? So let's begin there. Look for the first letter of their name anywhere that you can find it and point it out. If your child's name is Sandra, let's say, starts with an S, and you start driving past a Starbucks, you can say, hey, look, Starbucks starts with the same letter as your name, Sandra. What else starts with the letter S? Skittles, what else? Sandwiches. Honestly, I'm getting hungry just by talking about this. Soon it will be your child who will be the one finding the first letter or multiple letters of his or her name everywhere. Why? Because you've just tied learning to something that they care about, and that's how learning occurs. So back to the name example. What's an activity that you can do using your child's name to help him or her learn the letters of a very important word? Well, you can make a name book. The front cover can have the full name on it, and then each page after that will have a letter. You can be as creative as you'd like. You can help your child find pictures out of magazines, old photographs, advertisements, food boxes that you're going to recycle anyway that start with that letter, and then help them cut and paste them into a name book. For example, the name Mia. The front cover will have Mia on it. The next page will have the letter M and things that you helped cut out from a magazine or food box that start with the letter M. I cut out M and M. We also cut out money and a picture of a man. Now we go on to the next page. It starts with an I. Ice begins with I. Igloo begins with I. Nancy, can you think of anything else that begins with I?
Oh, Maria, you cannot forget about ice cream.
I love ice cream.
I love ice cream.
Ice cream, I love ice cream, but ice cream does not love me, unfortunately. And the last page will have the letter A. What things can you find that begin with the letter A? Let me think. Astronaut, maybe a picture of an almond, a picture of the letter A, picture of someone whose name starts with an A. If they have an Aunt Anna, well, there you go. You have a double whammy, 2 A's.
I love that. And I love, Maria, the simplicity of it. These are things that you already have at home. I know every day it seems like I get store ads in my mailbox. So you're already getting some of that material that you need to cut out, and you've got paper. So, and we all have either a pencil or a marker or a crayon that we can start off with and writing the letters of the name and then having them cut it out. I think that is so cool because it's so easy and it's able to help them. I think another great activity, and I know we've shared this before in one of our other classes, but I love it because it's so simple. It's just being able to help them with letter recognition. So all you need is a paper plate or a piece of cardboard or whatever you have at home. And you're going to write the lowercase letters on the actual paper plate. So as you can see here, those are all lowercase. And then with some clothespins, you're going to write the uppercase letters on them. Now make sure to mix up those clothespins and have your child match the lowercase with the uppercase letters. Once your child has mastered this, you can have him or her say the sounds of the letters that they've picked up and make sure to place it in the correct spot. Now, if your child doesn't like this activity, it's okay. I know for some little ones to be able to open and close those clothespins, it's hard. It's really using those fine motor skills, and those muscles are still developing and it's hard, but that's okay. If they didn't like it, put it aside and maybe you find a different activity that they do enjoy. And then later on you bring it back out, and I guarantee you that they're going to be like, I love this activity. One, maybe their strength in their finger muscles got a little bit stronger and it's easier for them. Or maybe you've added some stickers to them in the middle just to kind of liven it up and make it look different. But this is just another great way that you can help your little one with letter recognition. You could use Play-Doh and make Play-Doh letters. You can also spray some shaving cream on a cookie sheet and have them trace and write their name. All of these are fun. And remember, Maria talked about it earlier. We want to make sure that activities are fun for the kiddos, because if not, you're going to lose their attention span and they don't want to participate. And we've seen it so many times.
I'll second that, Nancy. I think you're completely right. Again, keep it fun. If you have activities that they like, use them for a little bit, and then, like Nancy said, put them away and then bring them out later on, and they'll it's like a new activity. Oh, I remember this one, I forgot. Just like toys. So yeah, definitely do that. Well, the last of the 6 early literacy skills is phonological awareness. And that's a big word, but that simply means the ability to hear and play with smaller chunks of words. So this includes creating rhymes such as top, mop, flop, hop, pop. It also includes putting pieces of words together such as t, op, and you get top, or fl, op, and you get flop. Children's songs and nursery rhymes aren't just a lot of fun. The rhyme and the rhythm help kids hear the sounds and syllables and words, which in turn helps them learn how to read. So parents and caregivers, make it a fun competition. See if you have a poet in the house. Select an ending such as at, and take turns coming up with different words, even silly words. Bat, cat, dat, fat, gat, hat, lat, mat. You get the gist. You can also separate words into syllables, and if your child can identify what word you're saying. So let's try this. Telephone. What am I saying? Telephone. Puppy. What am I saying? Puppy. Kitten. What did I say? Kitten. Okay. Now that we know the 6 early literacy skills, let's go over our second objective, which is to understand the basic reading steps and to give you some fun activities that will help. Keep in mind, this is a simplified version of the reading steps and what has worked for us, but it's not the only method out there. So if you've already found something that has worked for you or is working, use that. Remember, you are the expert when it comes to your child. Nancy, how did you feel when you started teaching your preschoolers to read?
Oh, Maria, that was something that did not come natural to me, because you could have all this experience with your own kiddos and you go to school and you attend trainings and you're like, yeah, I got this. And then you get into the classroom and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got 20, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, and how am I going to get them to start to read? It was really hard. I don't know about you, Maria. I don't know how you did it, but how did you feel?
Oh, I agree. It was tough because I got all my certifications, I passed all my teaching tests, and then when I got to kindergarten, I was clueless. I didn't know where to start, and I was the one who was a teacher. And I also didn't realize how helpful, how much parents and caregivers could help, and how much my students definitely wouldn't have become stronger readers without the help of their parents and caregivers. Did you know that the Fort Worth Library has Every Child Ready to Read early literacy kits that you can check out? So if you want some help with learning the days of the week or a different type of skill, you can also check one of those out for free.
Yeah, I totally agree, Maria. Reading is really a team effort. It requires the help of not only your child, it requires the help from you as the parent or caregiver or just other caregivers and from the teacher. I mean, it really is a partnership that you really have to build, not only with your child, you want to make that connection with your child, but you want that connection with the teacher because both of you will ensure the success of your little one. And we want them to be strong readers. So yeah, it really takes a team effort. Teachers know a lot because, it's their profession. They have, gone through years of training and education and they have experience. But no matter how great the teacher is, how long they've been teaching, they still need your help. Your help is vital. It is so important to the success of your little one. And we need you to know that. We really want to make sure that you understand that you are by far the first and best teacher for your kiddo. So I'm sure you're thinking, oh my gosh, so where do we start? Well, remember those 6 early literacy skills that we just talked about. If you've already forgotten, it's okay. Pause and you can rewind and watch it again. That's the great thing about webinars is that you can play it over and over again. Make sure you're incorporating all 6 of those skills into everyday life. So just try to make it part of your routine. Also, first, teach your child the letter sounds and the names. So for some people prefer to teach the letter sounds first. Others prefer to teach the letter names first. And many, they do both at the same time. But find what works best for your child. I know when I started teaching, I had no idea. I was like with Maria, we've had all these years of experience and we're ready to get into that classroom. And we're like, yeah. And then you're like, oh my gosh, your mind goes blank and you're like, where do I start? So there is lots of programs that you can use. There's a lot of curriculums that you can use. Use the resources you have. I know when I taught, for me, the program that we used, it did the letter name and the sound at the same time, and it made it fun. So there was a song that would go with it, and it was kind of like a chant. So for example, we'll do the letter A. So it was alligator, and then we had a motion. So it was, the alligator snapping, Bubba bear, bee. So they had fun listening to a song and they had motions to go with it. So if you're an audio learner, you're able to do it. If you're a visual learner, you've got the big motion of the alligator snapping. So you can find videos, you can sing the ABC song, you can point to each letter. You teach your child a few letters a week if you want. If your child needs 1 a week, that's okay too. Go at their pace. Don't try to rush it because you're like, oh, they're going to start kindergarten soon. We don't want to overwhelm them. Go at their pace. They will let you know if they need to go slower or faster. But we're going to say this over and over again. Be creative and have fun with it. Explore and see what are the resources that are out there, because what works for one child might not work for the other, right, Maria?
Yeah, exactly. All kids are different. So, I mean, even if they're your kids, if you have more than one child, every single one of them is different. Just like your fingers and your hands. They're all in hand, but they're all different.
Yeah.
But Nancy, I think I probably would have learned to read a lot faster if whenever I was little, I would have been one of your preschoolers. So anyway, once your child has mastered the letter sounds and names, let's start putting consonants and vowels together to form syllables. So what's a syllable? It's basically a word or part of a word with a vowel sound. Remember how you used to clap out words by syllables? At least I used to do that whenever I was younger. So my name is Maria. I'll clap it out. Ma-ri-a. I've got 3 syllables in my name. So work on 2 to 3 letter syllables with your child. For example, ba, sa, fla, at. All of these syllables have 2 to 3 letters in them. And as always, you've got to make it fun. Make your own flashcards, add to the pile as your child gets really good at sounding them out. You can make it into like a memory game. It doesn't have to look like mine, just make it fun. You can make it into a competition and the winner gets 5 more minutes to play or whatever's going to motivate your child. And on that last picture on your right, you're going to see a little girl holding a contraption I made from a cardboard box. I took one metal ring and I put all the consonants. So consonants are letters that are not vowels, not A, E, I, O, U. And I put all of those through the ring, and then I put the ring through the cardboard. And I did the same thing with the other ring that I got, but I put all the vowels in that ring. Well, it didn't take too long to do. It wasn't very expensive, and we made several games and competitions with this activity. And they liked it so much, they kicked me out, and then they took my place, and they became the teacher holding the letters. So that's a good thing.
I think that's funny because you make an impression on them, and if you made it fun for them, which I know you did because she wanted to take your spot. So she's like, I want to be a teacher and teach them. So I love that. I love that example. So now also remember how you taught your child to combine the consonants and the vowels makes a syllable, right? So now it's time to put those syllables together and form some real words. And we're going to do some silly ones too. All right. So for example, you can use those same flashcards as before and start putting them together and see what you get. When you come up with a word, you can ask your child, is it a real word or is it a silly word? For example, like ma. What's a mama? It's a mom. How about ma? What's tum? Well, it's a word, but it's not really a real word. It's a silly word. So, you kind of get the gist of it. You can also make those individual flashcards into puzzle pieces like I did. And those are just made out of just Post-it notes. So here is a fun game that you can play with them. So one person's going to start with a syllable and the other person's going to finish it. So the parent or caregiver, you would say me, and then the child would then have to think of an ending such as tin. So mitten, is it a real word? Yes, mitten. Oh, I love that. For the next one, let's use your imagination, okay? So I made miniature versions of this. So let's pretend it's a life-size one, okay? So if you have a large sheet of paper, maybe like 4 or 5 feet long, and some crayons and some markers, you can make a game like Twister. You can also use a big, large box and open it up and then use that as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to put syllables on each circle. So as the parent or the caregiver chooses 2 colors and the child uses his or her body to form a word. Or you can make up your own rules. Just keep it fun and safe. As your child masters the words with 2 syllables, you can increase the syllables. And once your child has had enough practice with syllables, you can move on to sight words. Now you're thinking, what's a sight word? Well, sight words are just words that can't easily be sounded out and need to just be recognized on the spot or on sight. So like words like you, I, the, have, where, was. These are all examples of sight words. For sight words, the reaction should just be you see the word, you say the word. You can find plenty of lists online and review a few words every day, every week, until your child knows them. You can also check out with your local school district and ask them for their sight words. As for some fun activities, one thing you can do is make a bingo board with many, many sight words. You can call out the word and have your child cover the words with his or when he or she hears it, then they say bingo. You can also create a memory game or make your own flashcards. It doesn't have to be expensive as long as it's what? Fun. That's right.
I agree. And that bingo, that was a good idea because, I mean, now you're seeing if your child can hear it and can actually read it. So, I mean, your child is already reading with sight words. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, our final step is to actually read books and ask questions for comprehension. Because reading is not just being able to read the words in a book. Reading also means to understand or comprehend what you've read. So start off with beginner books, and depending on the book, you can ask general questions like, what was your favorite part of the story? Why? Or how about this one? Oops, I forgot what happened in the story. Can you tell me what happened, please? Just tell me a short version. And right there, they're giving you a summary of what they remember that happened. You can also ask, what do you think happened after the story ended? And that kind of just makes us kind of have to think harder. What happened afterward? Well, after the three little pigs, when the wolf ended up running off, well, what did the three little pigs do after that? Were they happy in their house made out of bricks? I don't know. You tell me. If you were in the story, would you have done something differently? That's another question that you can ask. If you've just read The Little Red Riding Hood, how would you have known that that was the wolf? When you saw that someone was dressed up as your grandma, but they had really big teeth, would you have spotted that wolf a lot faster than the little girl did, the Little Red Riding Hood did? Would you have let the wolf eat you? I know I wouldn't have. Questions like these let you know if your child understands what he or she just read or what you just read to them. If there's little comprehension going on, you might need to find an easier book. But if you see that your child is bored or not even having to think about the answers to these questions, it may be time for a harder book.
Thanks, Maria. You are so right. Children do need to comprehend what they're reading. It's important to remember that every child learns at his or her own pace. So the most important thing that you can do is just make it enjoyable, make it fun. By reading regularly, you can also mix things up with different activities that we talked about. Let your child pick out his or her own books that they're interested in. You can install that love of reading by encouraging them and that they see you reading, even if it's listening to an audiobook. I always say that counts too, because even though someone's reading to me, I'm still retaining the information because that's how I learn. So letting them pick out however they want to read it, if they want to listen to it, if they want to read it themselves, it's just about making it fun. We want them to be great readers, and it will happen just by following a couple of these steps and these activities and just making it fun, right?
I agree, Nancy.
Our time together. Oh, Maria, it's always so sad when we come to the end, right? We've given them so much information that I hope that they find useful. They can replay it over and over again, but that's not it. This is not the only place where you can get information. The Fort Worth Public Library has so many social media outlets. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, where you can watch other videos, you can watch story times, you can learn how to speak Spanish. Oh, there's just so much that you can do. We have our Kinder 101 classes, and just a sneak peek for our spring quarter, we are going to have a preschool 101. OMG, we are excited about that. So not only will we have Get Your Child Ready Kinder 101, we're going to do a pre-K 101. So I'm excited about that. Keep a lookout for the information, and then you can email us and we will get you the link. I am so sad, but it is time to go. Is there anything you want to share, Maria, before we say bye?
I mean, I want to say that that's it. We covered a lot of information. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.
Have fun. Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye.